JT Crowley is talking books. On the show, you'll hear from emerging talent and seasoned veterans from around the world.
Hello, I'm JT Crowley, and today I'm delighted to have on my show Matt Petosa from New York City to talk about his book, Broadway 2020, The Ghostlight Years. It's a book of photography of the empty theatres of New York Broadway, the theatre district, as 2020 lockdown forced their closure. The photographs themselves tell their own stories of what they looked like, all deserted, a far cry from the normal bustling scenes you would expect of busy Broadway, the theatreland of Manhattan, New York City. Now, you might wonder when you look at this book how Matt got access to these theatres in lockdown. Well, a lot of that is down to the fact that he works in Manhattan's theatreland as the guy at the stage door of the Winter Garden Theatre. So he kind of got the inside hook here, everybody. And of course, he's bound to know other stagehand doors from the other theatres. So I probably think he got a good, phoned them up and said, look, I'd like to do some photographs here, everybody. Can I come in and take a few shots of the theatre? Pulled in a few favours, I would say. So over the years, when you're on the stage door at these theatres, you'll meet very famous actors. He's meeting some very, very famous, some up and coming, and some coming towards the end of their theatrical careers. So let's have less of my waffle and let's invite Matt onto the show so they can talk about this beautiful book of his. It's a big book, everybody, but it's full of stunning, stunning, stunning photographs of New York's Broadway, the theatre land of New York City. Matt, come and join me.
Hello, John. How are you? Thanks for that introduction.
Oh, I spent ages working on it, as you can tell, can't you? Now, Matt, before we look at this book, which for me is full of your amazing photography work, would you tell the audience a little about, who is Matt Petosa and why did you write this book? And why, not so much write it, but why did you compile it with all these fabulous, fabulous photographs?
Well, I've always been a photographer here in New York for years and years. I come from Syracuse, and I found myself at this job. I took a night job as a doorman, and suddenly the pandemic hit, and a lot of theaters closed down, but they still need doormen to go let other people in and whatnot. And I found myself at different theaters at the stage door, and it would be quiet, and I would just walk around and say, "Wow, look at this empty theater here! Might as well get some shots. You'll never see it like this again. So a few minutes, I'd go back. This is the shot. Some of the sets are still up. So I try to walk around. You can't touch anything, So I'd go in the back of the stage and get the shot from the back, get the whole theater in from the back of the stage, way, way backstage. And I would do the same thing, walk by the orchestra in the dark, just the house lights, and just drink in the whole stage. And I would just do like a panorama photo, like 6 across, and then put them back together. And it came out great. The lighting was excellent by itself.
You must have thought it must be quite spooky doing it, especially of course because the whole theories of the ghost lights on the stage. To me, an empty theatre could be quite eerie. Did you find it eerie when you were going around taking the photographs?
There are stories, about haunted houses and the ghost light, but I try not to think about that. But a few of the places I did go into, I was the only one there. And you have to walk down some pretty dark alleys, and there's some tricky doors, and there's a lot of darkness, then until you find your way around. And then when you're way up in the mezzanine, let's say like the Belasco, which is the haunted theater, you're just there to get the shot. You don't start thinking about that. You can't think about those kind of things, and if you do, sometimes I just start whistling, let them know I'm there, a little whistle, get the shot and get out,
Now, Matt, you very kindly put a short reel clip together when you look at this clip, everybody, which we're going to watch, it really does summarize Matt's work. It's absolutely stunning.
On March 13th, 2020, the Great White Way went dark for nearly 2 years, impacting 100,000 theater employees, from actors to stagehands and ushers. New York City without Broadway felt empty indeed. The shutdown was unprecedented. Broadway had stayed open through the Spanish flu of 1812, 2 world wars, and had only closed down once before, 2 days after the September 11th attacks. The curtain fell on the longest shutdown in theatrical history. The only shining light that remained was the ghost light on each stage of every house. A beacon of hope in the tradition of the show must go on. These photographs represent those dark days.
How good was that, everybody? It really was, as you can see why I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. Now, Matt, you've put a plethora of stunning photographs in this book that depict the empty theatres and surrounding areas of Broadway, the theatre land of Manhattan, New York. And, all done during the deserted times of 2020, all due to lockdown, a year none of us will forget. Now, Matt and I are not going to talk about all the photographs in his book, because there's an awful lot of them, as this is not the idea of the interview. The idea is to give you an insight, a glimpse as to what the book is about. So we have chosen a sample of photographs to talk about, or probably more, fair enough to say that Matt has chosen a sample of his photographic works, and we're going to do 10 of them. So, but if you want to know more about them and more about this book, then you can go to Matt's web pages, and there you can get the book, and there you can see all about the history of the photographs. And also you can click the Amazon link below and get the book there. Let's go to the first photograph, Matt, that you chose, and I agree to go ahead with everybody. It's the first photograph is of the 7th Avenue looking north, taken from West 44th Street. It's a photograph taken at the street view 3 days after Broadway was shut down due to COVID-19. So, Matt, when I look at this stunning photograph here of 7th Avenue, it's Times Square, what is this photograph's story? What is it telling us? Please tell us.
Well, it's a unique view of Times Square. I rode my bike down there, and I was videotaping with the GoPro just because there was nothing. There was no traffic. And I went down by the theaters and went down by the theater I was working at. And you could actually hear the birds in the street. It was that quiet. And I just parked the bike against a street sign and says, geez, I got to get this shot here. You'll never see this again, So I did, just stood in the middle, checked behind me, always check for cars. There's nothing there. So I had my time. I just did a sweeping view, maybe 6 or 7 across the top. Nobody there. Dead quiet.
And you managed to get it with a blue sky.
Yeah, that's lucky. You get lucky.
You've got a blue sky, and you've got the yellow lights, the electric lights, and you've got a whole raft of things. And then you've got, the Times Square, you're looking straight down it. It's a stunning photograph. Are you proud of it?
I think one of the billboards actually says something like, thanks for, doing all you can during the pandemic. So there's some, that's there too. It describes the time,
It does. It does. But I'm not going to give it away, everybody. Go and have a look for yourselves. Yeah. Now, Matt, let's explore more of this wonderful photographic book of yours. As I said, he's got it on the stall there, everybody. Now, the second of the 10 photographs that have been chosen is 7th Avenue looking south. And if you look closely, you'll see a last man standing. Now, who is this guy? Why did you take this shot? So what is the story telling us here, Matt? What did you capture here?
The fella with his back to you in the guitar, I think he's known as the Naked Cowboy in the Tidy Whities there. And he's actually a really nice guy, friendly, smart. And he's out there. It's like 35 degrees. And I was just shocked. I go, my God, this guy's still here playing by himself. He was talking to me. We talked a bit. Can I take your picture? Yeah. Well, I don't know if he saw me take that picture. Then we talked afterwards. But just to see him there, still like representing, Times Square area, still playing, it's amazing. And just the emptiness too. You had to capture that,
It is. It's an empty scene because I'm looking at it here on my phone, everybody, and he's there on the corner, probably just in a United States trunks.
Tidy Whities, we call them, like Fruit of the Loom, standard,
Ah. And of course, yes, again, it's looking down to the fabulous streets of New York, everybody. Now, let's go, because that's a little bit to give you of what the surrounding areas were like, everybody. So let's go to some of the theatres that Matt has chosen. The photographs of the Schoenfeld Theatre are very interesting. I understand that perhaps I should say the Gerald Schoenfeld Theatre from which was formerly known as the Plymouth Theatre. It's on 236 West 45th Street in the theatre district of Midtown Manhattan. It opened in 1917 on October the 10th, to be precise. The theatre was designed by Herbert J. Krapp and built for the Schubert brothers. The theatre is named for Gerald Schoenfeld, a long-time president of the Schubert organization. It has just undergone, it has about 1,100 seats, everybody, across 2 levels, and the facade and the auditorium are New York City landmarks. And when I say New York City landmarks, they have to be designated as a landmark by the local planning authorities, I believe. So not every theatre gets a landmark, but once you get one, it's quite, famous. So my question to you, Matt, is why did you choose this theatre to be mentioned in your book? And why did you take the shots from the back of the theatre for one of them and the other from the back of the stage, looking to the auditorium? Now, I know you've got your book there, and I think you want to show the photograph. Come on, show us the photograph.
Well, it's a big book. So when you open it up, it's got, it's pretty wide without being too distorted. And naturally, I want to see everything from the theater. I want to see as much theater as I can. So normally you go like 10 rows back, or might be even 20 at the back of the orchestra. And I believe it's only lit by the ghost light, very little lighting there, but the reflection you can see through the plastic on the seats. And it's like, I think that the plastic actually looks like the missing audience. They represent the audience there. And you can see some of the sets still up there come from away. And I think first I did the backstage one because the tables and chairs are still there.
They are still there.
So this is like something stopped. It's just the plug was pulled, So I had to get that, drink it all in.
I have to say, Matt, the lighting is fantastic.
Well, if you do the right exposure and drink the shadows in, you have to get it all, or else it'll just be blackness. You need to see what's in those shadows. So I try to get that.
Yeah, I fully understand. There's a photograph and there's a photograph.
Yeah. And most of them are composites too. So it's not one photograph blown up. They're assembled and then straightened up and presented in a wide format.
Yes, I love the table scene there, and you can see the lights and you can see you've captured the floorboards, in where they're all worn out and where they've been polished, and the reflection. That it's just stunning.
Yeah. It's painted to look like that,
Yeah. Now, let's talk about some more of your highly creative photographs. I want to go now to the Schubert Theatre. Of course, we've done the Schoenfeld. That's the pictures of the auditorium there, and he's got the picture from the back of the stage, everybody. So let's go to the Schubert Theatre, which is 225 West 44th Street in the Theatre District of Manhattan. Now, this theatre is slightly older than the Schoenfeld, having opened in October 1913, and is larger with a seating capacity of about 1,500. Again, the photographs are taken from the ground level at the back of the auditorium and the back of the stage, looking out towards the audience. So, Matt, what's the story behind these two photographs for me? Because for me, they capture the spirit of the place. And that's what a good photographer does. Captures the spirit of what's in the take, the shot.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. This is from way back, way upstage when the music, Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
I'm almost got my back against the theater there, so I can get everything, all the sets, that are there. And you can see up to the ceiling where everything comes down. Everything is hoisted up into the ceiling like a vertical filing cabinet. Row after row after row, it all comes down. And you can see everything from the sides, the top, the bottom. I like to encompass it all. So that picture is like a frame within another frame. And the colors and the textures are pretty intense, And then the reverse angle with all the lights hanging in there. I think all those lights look like crows hanging on a line, like a bird. There's just so much going on. And I've showed it to a few of the lighting guys and engineers. They love to see their work. They go, oh, those are my lights. Those are my speakers, So the tech guys really like that because it encompasses everything,
Do you know what I get from your photos, Matt? I get a sense of the history of the place.
Oh, thank you.
That's what I get when I look at these photographs, from the auditorium and from the backstage. And when I look at the backstage ones, Matt, I'm often thinking, who's tread those boards, Because these theaters, these theaters are quite old. So there must have been a lot of people, of all fame walked those boards.
From Al Jolson, Barbara Streisand,
Not to mention your friend, Mr. Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackman, sorry.
We all call him Jackson just as a joke,
I know.
Wonderful fellow.
When I look at, I believe the Belasco Theatre is probably one of the most haunted theatres in New York City, in, the Theatre District. And the Belasco Theatre, very good. He's just gone boo everyone. Yeah, very funny. You should see us doing this, setting these interviews up over the last couple of weeks, everybody. We've had a laugh. And I'm not going any more than that.
Listen, it's easy to scare yourself. I've done it, every night when I shut the house lights out, across the stage, it goes dark. And if you just stand there for a few minutes and listen, you're going to hear things in the old building. You're going to hear water tanks. You're going to hear creaking. You can even hear a voice if you stand there long enough. So just hit the lights, give a little whistle, and walk away.
Just to tell the ghosts, I'm here, go away, don't bother me tonight.
Yeah, working here, I'm working.
Yeah. Now, in your book, you take us to, as it says, another theatre, the Belasco Theatre. And again, the photos are taken from the back of the stage, looking out, and from the back of the auditorium. But this time you've taken it not from the stalls or down at level 1, the ground floor. You've taken this from the mezzanine floor. Now, this theatre, like all the theatres on Broadway, the theatre district of Midtown Manhattan, has a history to it. It opened on the 16th of October, 1907. It was developed by Mayor R. Bimberg and operated by David Belasco. And I believe it was probably formerly known as the Stuyvesant Theatre, and until Belasco named it in 1910. It's undergone, like most of New York's theatre land, numerous renovations. What's this theatre to you? Does it have a special place in your heart? And what are the photos telling us about the ambience and the wonderful scenery, the history, the essence of this theatre?
It's one of my favorite theaters. I think it's one of the most beautiful theaters. The ceiling is Tiffany lights. And I got lucky because it was a girl from the North Country was still there with the beautiful floor. And it's just, look at the orangey colors in there that's from way up at the Mez, you know. And then there's the opposite view. You can still see the drum set and the keyboards. Everything's just stopped, you know. And the colors were so lush there. That's just house lights. You know, there's no extra lighting in there, and the ghost light shines through. And it's I just think it's just, you know, the best.
It's fabulous. You know? And of course, the shot that you've taken from the back of the stage, looking out into the auditorium, and there in the middle is the ghost light. Almost in the middle of the picture. It's stunning. Do you want to hold it up again so that we can have a look?
You're dead center. Yeah, it's dead center.
It's dead center. Yeah.
I like the bullseye, you know. Jasper Johns, you know.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning, everybody. Now, you see, we can go on all about these theatres, but the whole idea of this book is for you to go and get it and look about the theatres through the eyes of Matt Petosa's photography, all done through lockdown 2020. And you'll see in a lot of the photographs, the ghost lights.
Yeah.
Of course, the ghost lights are there because they are representing hope for the future, you know, that the shows will eventually come back. I'm right, aren't I?
Well, it's also, if you're the last guy there and you're walking around, you don't fall into the orchestra pit. You got to have a light there to see where the stage ends and the seats begin. There's a safety reason. And the fire chief wants to walk in there and point his flashlight from the front and just see all the way to the back. If there's no lights, you know, you can't see smoke. Now, when you're in like a place like, we didn't talk about this one, but there's details. If you look straight up to the ceiling, it's a double page.
Yeah.
You'll never see, it doesn't look like that. It's dark, but it's the details of some of the architectural on the interior is amazing, you know?
Oh, they're stunning. They're absolutely stunning. And when you look at, as I said, everybody, there's no end of these photographs in this book. The theatre.
Well, it ends eventually. It's only 133 pages, you know, but you can take your time with it.
Oh, yeah. But I say to you, just enjoy the photography, everybody. Just enjoy the pictures and what they're telling you about the theatre land of Broadway, New York. Now, let's move on to the Majestic Theatre, Matt. And for me, your photograph captures the grandeur of the place, giving it a character of another world, the world of drama. And you can almost hear the audience, the orchestra playing, the actors throwing their voices so that at the back they could be heard. As we've already said, the architecture for some of these theatres is absolutely phenomenal. And the architecture here is interesting. And the way you have set up the lighting here is very, very clever. So talk us through this picture, the Majestic Theatre.
Right. There's no setup lighting. It is what it is there. And when you do a longer exposure at the Majestic, look at the proscenium there with the chandelier. Now that's closed now. That's not no longer there. They took it all down. And there's with the house lights, which is different. The seats are more prominent there. But I'm going off here now. But here's something you don't see. A lot of these theaters, when you're on the stage or you're back of the orchestra, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful place. But all the actors and all the crew, as soon as they go off stage down in the basement or the dressing rooms, it's all basements. It's all, and here is Phantom of the Opera's wig room down in the basement.
Wow.
So it's like, you're just walking around checking on doors. I open that door. I'm like, whoa, a lot of wigs here. Got to get it all, shoot the whole thing. Amazing what goes on there,
And of course, all the productions, and we've talked about this, Matt, the front of house, the actors, the directors, they need the back room staff, the stage staff.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't do it without them.
And these guys are funny too. A lot of the prop guys during production, like there's a lot going on backstage. They'll be dancing, singing. They're having a good time with the play as well, and they're rigging everything. But I've seen some stuff go on. Like one of the actors will come and he's doing something to the side, and the prop guys will be like playing a beanbag toss game and toss him something. He'll participate. This is all going on just to have a laugh, to keep things light. It's amazing. It's great to be backstage.
Do you love it?
Yeah, it's fun.
How long have you been doing it for?
I started Halloween night on Beetlejuice and at the Winter Garden. And those crowds, the screaming, I had never heard screaming like that. It reminded me of audio tape from a Beatles concert. Just like unbelievable screaming. And that was my first night. And then there was a Halloween costume party. So everyone was already dressed up in character. And my job is to see everyone coming in the door and make sure they work there. I had no idea. I said, come on in. So, the crew guys are on the walkies going, hey, we got patrons on the deck. They're walking right on stage before the show's coming. Hey, sorry, man. I thought they worked here, So it's tough till you know, like 100, 150 people, ushers, musicians, stage people, you got to know them all. And they're all different.
They are. Now, for me, Matt, there's one photograph that summarizes your book of the Ghostlight Years 2020. And it is the Lyceum Theatre. Because when I look at that picture, for me, it's eerie, it's haunting. And yes, of course, like a lot of the theatres, it's rumoured to be haunted. But we have what looks like a colour coordination of black, gold and red. Isn't that stunning, everybody? And what I'm getting at here is the black, the red, the gold, and just the ghost like on the stage for me, Matt, it's got an air, it's got an atmosphere behind it of a shadowy, ghost likely eerie effect. And I loved it. And I think you caught that very, very cleverly, because this is what your book is about, the Ghostlight Years. Talk to me about how you took that shot. It's beautiful.
Well described. I think what's interesting about this is it's so bare bones, because you can see behind the stage, you can see the straight back to the brick wall. The Lyceum is interesting like that. You can see where the paint ends. And it's one of the only theaters where you can walk in the stage door on the street north of it. And if you walk straight through the theater, you walk right out to the next block. So it's like a straight line. And of course, that's lit by the ghost light alone. And I think it's bare bones. You see the ladders.
You do see the ladders.
So it's like you said, it's powerful and it's a little scary. And it's historical,
You've got the three ladders there. You've got the black up to a certain height, and then it goes to the white. We've only painted up so far what the audience can see. You've got the fire bag there. I think it's the fire bag. But it is that eerie light that captured this photograph for me. And that's what I like about this one.
See, if you look straight back, that's the stage door back there. And the main entrance is on the other side. So it's no other theaters like that, front to back. Like you can walk straight back. You know, it's a long walk, you know.
I mean, of course, a lot of these theatres are very scary, yeah. But they've seen a lot of life over all the hundreds of years. But when you be to New York, all these theatres, I think I'm right in saying this, they're just around the corner from each other, aren't they? And a lot of them are probably owned by the same organizations.
It's true. There's like 17 Schubert theaters right within a 5-block radius between 8th Avenue and Broadway, you know.
How long did it take you to take all these photographs and put this together?
Well, I was shooting them while I was working, and then I realized, boy, I'm getting a lot of them here. You know, let me try to get them all before I don't have this chance again. So I didn't realize that what I was compiling. And I said, all right, I have something here. So I called up and said, listen, I'm missing four or five theaters. Can I go in there? Mm-hmm. And the guy says, yeah, come pick up the keys. You know, we like your work, because I was showing my work anyway. So that was very lucky to have that trust, you know, just in there for a few minutes, try not to be scared, get the shots, because it's, you know what you want in there. You got to get the shot from the dead center back and the opposite from the front, you know, maybe a few flanking shots, and then look around for the details. You know, I had to edit out a few things, but there's a lot. The history is amazing in there. Mm. You know?
It is. And for me, Matt, I've already said this, is, you know, your photographs capture the history and the essence of the place. And when I look at your pictures, you know, your photographs from the back of the stage, I can just see the actors walking around the stages, you know, the props prompting them to come on, the scenery changes. They bring so much to life, your photographs do.
Yeah, there's a story there. You can just read it as you look at it and see what's going on in the wings. Those are the wings, you know?
Yeah.
Like, look at what's going on the side here. There's
Have a look.
Staircase. That's the Lyceum there. Look at the sides there.
Yeah.
Emergency exits. Like nobody sees that.
Nobody sees
that.
I
have to show everything. I'm showing everything, you know?
Yes. You know,
even if the stage itself gets diminished, I want to see, like, there's the whole theater, you know?
Yeah. And of course, all the actors and all the back scene, they'll come down those steps, because their rooms will be upstairs at their, you know, stage right, stage left, stage upper, stage center. Yeah. The audience doesn't
the automation guys, the fly guys, you hardly see them. They just go up and they keep going up and up and up. And that's like 60 feet. They're above everything. You know, they're running the motors, you know, doing all the changes in the set. You know, they're just up there. And the spotlight guys, they're even higher. You know, very dangerous work up there, you know, to hang the lights. You know, it's amazing stuff. I got a lot of, you know, behind the scenes when sets come in. I make books about that, you know, about bringing in all the rigs and the huge sets, you know, coming off the truck. I've got videos and stills, and I usually make a book at the end of the year, you know.
Oh, we might have more books, everybody. So, do you enjoy your work, Matt?
Of course. I'm always I'm a photographer, you know. I see, I take, you know.
So you've put this book out. Who would you like to, you know, to be looking at this book? Everybody? A certain particular type of person? Who do you want to see buying your book?
I'm going to go with everybody. Even students, you know. It's a great student book to say, like, wow, there's a lot of old history there that we don't know about. You know, these buildings are old, you know, hundreds of years old, some of them, you know. And, you know, theater people like it, people who like the theater, musicals, architecture, photography. So there's a big net out there of people who would enjoy this, you know. And it's a good size book. It's a good coffee table book, you know. It's heavy.
Well, I met up with my godson, Matt, on Sunday. He's 30. He's an actor. And I was talking to him about your book and, you know, the photographs of Broadway. And he turned to me and said, well, that's my Christmas present from you, is to get a copy of that book. Because I want to see those photographs. Because my aim will eventually be to tread the boards of Broadway.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing.
We were chatting about it, and I was showing him the photographs of the what you sent over, and we were looking at your webpage, and he was just looking at the photographs, and he just went, "Oh my goodness!" He said something else, but we have to.
Well, I'll get you a book. I'll send you one.
So, are you planning any more? Please say yes, because it's just amazing work you do.
Yes. I'm always shooting. I just have to figure out, you know, what goes where, put it together, you know. I have a book that I'm working on now of photographs. I do a lot of street things, you know. So I've compiled a bunch of street things in there, and, you know, I do overlap a few. You know, I do the New York City subways, you know. So I have these other books that are like sitting on the bench, you know. But I need to get out there. Then I do the behind the scenes books, you know. That was the Music Man. It's a big, thick book, you know. Lots of great pictures, you know. So I'm busy. I'm always busy. Always, you know, seeing what I shot the day before. Always thinking it's better than it is.
So, as I said, everybody, go and have a look at Matt Petosa's book. Go to his webpage. Have a look at his work, everybody. This is the idea of the interview, is to go and have a look at Matt Petosa's work. Go to his web pages. You want the book? Go there or click on Amazon. But he's got other works there, other photographs, other things there. This is what this interview is about. It's about Matt Petosa, more than, say, the book of photography. I just want to say, Matt, it's been a huge pleasure chatting to you over the last few weeks. And looking at the book is truly inspiring. The cleverness, the brilliance of your photography is just blown me away. But it was the photograph from the auditorium at the Lyceum, everything stripped bare, the ghost light, the eeriness there. That's the photo for me.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you, John. And it's, I think it's an original. There's no other book out there that has this kind of, you know, visual information in it. You know, I think it's a worthwhile book.
So I just simply say, Matt Petosa, thank you so much for coming on my show. It's been a huge pleasure interviewing you and looking at your book. Matt Petosa, everybody.
Thank you, John.
I'm JT Crowley. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you're in the world. Until next time, stay safe.